Next up, Ms. Jordan Baker.
Jordan Baker. After the fiasco with Nick Carraway and the rest of those assholes, Jordan Baker decided she was done with Eastern men, even those who managed, by way of chilling prose, to masquerade as Westerners. With East and West eliminated, she was left only with North and South, and had the good sense not to go to Canada, where no one wrote anything worthwhile. In her little egg-shaped world, it seemed that people died by accident too often, and she wanted a place where people died more purposefully, or else lived on indefinitely and complained a lot about it. From Nick, she had learned that men who were verbose and relatively coherent could only be trouble. So she sought out a man who would be verbose and incoherent. She went to Mississippi and made the acquaintance of Quentin Compson. Jordan knew right away that Quentin was deep, sensitive, and boasted a great literary significance because she could make sense of nothing he said. Sometimes he managed to come close. "You look nice today, Jordan," he would begin, but then before she could politely thank him, his eyes would go wild and he would say something to the effect of, "Dalton Ames! Dalton Ames! Father, I have committed incest, father!" It was very disconcerting. Unfortunately, his literary significance did not stop him from being a disappointing lover. "Gosh, Quentin," she said, "I knew you Faulkner characters had trouble with narrative thrust, but..." He stared dolefully at the clock on the wall. "Are you even listening to me?" Jordan was not used to being ignored. "Hey," she said, "I heard your family owns a golf course." "No," he shook his head. "We just live next to one, and my brother likes to Dalton Ames! Dalton Ames! Scream and scare the golfers." "Oh, well, that's sort of the same." It wasn't the same. But Jordan was known for her incurable dishonesty and didn't think the lie mattered much if it would get him to do something. He didn't. His eyes roved back to the clock. He was beginning to irritate her. "Oh, what's so goddamn interesting about that clock?" "It's not a clock. It's a mausoleum of all hope and desire, used to gain the reductio absurdum of all human experience." "Quentin, I have no patience for this." Indeed, she was losing patience for all men, but she thought he might be too fragile to hear that. On top of his interest in incest and time, he also possessed a fatalistic impulse, and she didn't want to be responsible for him jumping off a bridge and drowning in the odor of honeysuckle. She'd really just been hoping for a quick screw and a few swings on the cool Confederate golf course, but he didn't seem to be capable of giving her either. Christ, was there anyone up in Canada? Maybe Dudley Do-Right. He had to be better than those effete Easterners and delicate, tormented Southerners, even if Rocky and Bullwinkle had been wrongfully excluded from the Western literary canon. "Quentin," she said irritably, "you're boring me." Jordan hated to be bored. "I'm starting to feel that this is a waste of time." His eyes widened at the word time. "Oh, for fuck's sake, if you don't do something amusing soon, I'm gonna smash that clock." "Good," he said, in a long southern drawl. "Clocks slay time. Time is dead as long as it's being clicked off by little wheels. Only when the clock stops does time come to life." She groaned, and not in the way she'd been hoping to groan for herself. "The past isn't dead," he told her wistfully. "It's not even past." Oh, God. She sprang up from the bed and began dressing herself, putting on one of the golf outfits it was now clear she would not get to use. "Do you want to know something? All you tormented male literary heroes are the same. Such fucking melodrama and self-absorption. Do you ever hear a woman bitching like that in a book? No! No one writes books about us because we're too badass and likable. Just take a look at your sister. Father, I have committed incest. Father, Shut up! She snapped. If this, she gestured vaguely around the room, is indicative of your prowess, then you definitely didn't commit incest or anything else. Okay, I made it up. Well, that's somewhat admirable, but you're still a whiner. He shrugged. God, didn't this asshole know who she was? I know I'm utterly fascinating, she continued, but I have a sense of decorum. I had the decency to sit on the sidelines and look sporty and tan when my insight was not necessary to advance the story. Advance the story, he said? Yes, Quentin, some stories actually move. Oh. He seemed to be struggling with this, his forehead creased. But, she raised her eyebrows meaningfully in his direction, it's abundantly clear that nothing is moving tonight, so I'll be on my way. And so Jordan Baker beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the west. She came to San Francisco, which seemed like a good place for women who were seriously fed up with men. Once there, she enlisted the help of a fellow sportswoman, a dykey ex-softball player named Samantha, and opened a bar called Queers, where everyone knows you're gay. And is always glad you came. In every sense of the word. Everything was beautiful, homosexual, linear, unpretentious, and nothing hurt.